He says, when love beckons you, follow him, though his ways are hard and steep. When his wings enfold you, yield to him, though the sword hidden may wound you. When he speaks to you, believe in him, though his voice may shatter your dreams. So we're being asked to do 3 things in this first stanza. Follow him, yield to him, believe in him. Do these things even though there is some other hardship, some other difficulty. So the first stanza really has this theme of surrender. We're familiar with the quote, "Love conquers all." Less familiar is the second half of that sentence. Love conquers all. Let us too yield to love. So it's not just a matter of love is conquering everything else. Love conquers us. And so we should yield to it. What does Gibran say here? Follow, yield, and believe. So the emphasis here is that following the path of love, if you want to stay with that analogy, isn't easy. Why not? What's getting in the way of following, yielding, believing? Fear. Fear of failure, loss, grief, being taken advantage of. Ego gets in the way. Whenever we have this notion of surrender, what are we surrendering? When we talk about this in a spiritual sense, what we're surrendering is the ego. I have my path. It's flat and easy. I don't want to be wounded. I've got my body, I've got my mind. I want comfort, not wounding. And I have my own beliefs. I don't want to give those up. But what love is asking us to do is to not follow our own path, is to not stay safe, to give up our beliefs. So what love is threatening is the ego. That's what makes it difficult. One of the things that is synonymous with love is sacrifice. You are sacrificing your own path for a higher one. You're sacrificing your own comfort, your own safety, if you want to put it that way, and you may be wounded. You're sacrificing your own beliefs. So there's a sense in which your autonomy is being threatened by the very act of loving, because you're not the other person. And to love is to become one. You're losing yourself, in a sense. You're dissolving a personal boundary. And that threatening of personal boundaries is a threat to the ego. And so there's a beckoning. Come. Implicit in this idea of a beckoning is that love invites. Right? Love doesn't get behind you and push you up the hill. Love doesn't trap you in the corner and then enfold you in his arms. Love beckons you, and as we saw in one of the later stanzas, you don't have to follow. But the advice given by Al-Mustafa here is to follow, is to yield, and is to believe. Give up your individual path. Give up the individual desires, dissolve the boundaries of the little self, shatter your immature illusions, lay waste to what you know about yourself through love. So what you're doing as you follow, yield, and believe is that you are changing who you are. You're changing the path that you take through life. Let's continue, because he begins to describe what's going on here. He says, for even as love crowns you, so shall he crucify you. Why would you follow? this steep path where you can get stabbed, because you will be crowned. Imagine what it feels like to be our recent King Charles, sitting on the throne and crowned as king. What does it feel like? In fact, we've got that phrase in the English language, I feel like a king. It's a feast fit for a king. What's the biggest bed called? King size. So he starts off with all of the difficulties surrounding what love is, the difficulties that are perceived by the ego, a threat to itself, to its boundaries, to its autonomy, and says, yes, but you will be crowned. There's an elevation. So shall he crucify you. So it elevates you, but it also crucifies you. The crowning and the crucifixion are the same thing. Christ on the cross was wearing a crown of thorns. What got crucified? Symbolically, what is crucified on the cross is, again, the ego. In fact, I won't get too deep into this, but there's a discussion around Christ's words on the cross, my God, why have you forsaken me? Because he's calling out to God, and God's not answering. It's the moment where he realizes there isn't the God up there, out there that I've been speaking to. That transcendent guarantee outside myself, I was just externalizing it as a way of contacting what is internal. And then his final words, it is accomplished. What is accomplished? The realization of Godhead not as an external agent guaranteeing a reward, but rather the internal Godhead. So by being crowned, you are being crucified at the same time. There's a line in the book, the Game of Thrones series, The Song of Ice and Fire, and to a teenager, some wise words are given. He says, kill the boy Jon Snow. Kill the boy that the man may be born. So the scenario is that this teenager has been given a tremendous responsibility to lead the Night's Watch. And he doesn't know if he can do it. And his advisor says to him, you, the boy, cannot do it. But the man that you can become will be able to do it. So in order for you to be able to fulfill your duty as commander of the Night's Watch, you must grow into the man that is within you. How do you do that? You have to let the boy die. Crucify the ego so that you can be resurrected as the regent, the king, the queen. Love does this to us. This dissolution of self, this dissolution of the ego is a way of revealing the deeper, more mature self that you are.